Welcome to the crossover, the mac and cheese of sports talk radio, a combo unlike any other. In the zone, open mic, become one for 10 minutes. How you doing, Mike?
The Velveeta mac and cheese. Oh,
Fake cheese more than the powder. Although
yeah.
I guess that cheese is fake also. But which fake cheese do you prefer?
I prefer the Velveeta fake cheese over the Kraft powder. Yeah.
I have no idea what's in that stuff, but I know it's good. That's too good not to be good for you, you know?
Yeah.
All right, Mike, you want to get us started? Or
I will get us started.
Let's
Let's start with a story that was earlier in the week. I didn't get to listen to UNT time talk about it. The UCF season ticket email controversy where they sent out the email to certain season ticket holders who were not using their tickets, and maybe they were selling them, maybe they were giving them away. All right. Basic question for you. Besides the ham-handed way that they handled it with the email, do you have a problem with UCF giving more perks and privileges to people, season ticket holders who actually use their tickets over season ticket holders who maybe sell their tickets on the secondary market?
I don't have any issue with that. And obviously you worded that question in a way where I'm just going to agree with your point. Very well done by you. That was lawyer-esque if I've ever heard it. Of course, if you go to the game.
No more questions. No more questions.
That's it. That we're done with that. My argument would be, wouldn't there be a better way? Isn't there a better way to track that of you actually physically going to the game yourself while being a season ticket holder? And I'm not asking you to answer this because there's a 0% chance.
Daniel, I mean, Kravitz, you know I'm digitally illiterate.
Okay, well, let me talk about one of our sponsors, because this actually ties in perfectly, and I think UCF should partner with a brand like this. So one of our sponsors is WonderFan, and WonderFan's whole business model is you go to certain venues, you just open the app and say, you click a button that says, I'm here. They do the geolocation to make sure that that's accurate.
Boom. There you go.
And you're earning points for being there. You should be able to then turn back to UCF and say, look how many points I earned by going to your games. And then you get points from UCF for being a season ticket holder that actually goes to the games, rather than having a situation like this. If you're, in my opinion, if you're a season ticket holder, I don't care what you do with the tickets. You should never be slapped on the wrist for being a paying customer. That is absolutely, positively absurd. But you should be rewarded for actually going to the games. There's a way to do both of these things. The technology exists, and they sponsor the show.
They weren't slapped on the wrist. They were just said, hey, in the future, you may not get the seat that you want, whereas the fans that actually go to the games will get the seat that they want. So they are giving perks.
But wasn't part of the messaging that you may lose your privileges in the future?
Yeah, maybe they said that.
Well, okay.
That was part of the ham-handed part that they shouldn't have used.
Well, they said it. So, yeah, no, that's, look, the technology exists. Just use it. I'll stay on UCF because Stewart Mandel of The Athletic gave the Scott Frost hire a D grade. He graded all of the new hires in college football, and towards the bottom of the list was UCF's hiring of Scott Frost. I'm going to read you a piece of what he said, and then I want to get your thoughts on that. He said, you'd think that a 10-26 Big Ten record would raise some flags, that and the fact that he wasn't in demand for the 2 years in between his firing. So there was more to it than that, but that's the general gist. Your thoughts? Do you agree? If you're being objective about it, and I know it's hard for us, we are very much Scott Frost guys. Do you think from a national perspective that grade is fair?
I have no issue with the grade. I mean, he graded all 27 new hires in Power 4 and Group of 5, and Scott Frost got the lowest grade. He got a D, and that was the lowest grade. By the way, Bill Belichick got one of the lowest grades as well in Stewart Mandel's. And I love the Bill Belichick hire, and I love the Scott Frost hire for UCF, all right? But Stewart Mandel's not writing for UCF. He's writing for a national audience, and I certainly understand that Scott Frost would get a low grade in a national hiring report card, because he didn't just lose at Nebraska. He flopped monumentally at Nebraska. It was an awful 5 years at Nebraska, and he wasn't in demand. All right. Do I think he learned from that? Yes. I think Scott Frost could easily turn out to be an A hire at UCF. But if you're grading a preliminary report card, I understand the grade, certainly.
And I'm with you about it being right for UCF, because we have seen him succeed here. We know that he works within this ecosystem. So I think there's built-in confidence. And then, of course, you have the layer of nostalgia that goes with it. So we are going to be buyers in the Scott Frost market. But I do wonder how people like you and I would have reacted if it was Texas Tech that hired Scott Frost. Would we have said that was a good hire?
We wouldn't have reacted.
We would have talked about it. Come on. We're plugged in with Lubbock.
Now, if Texas Tech had hired Scott Frost, yeah, we probably, what are they doing that for? It's a terrible hire. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I guess we'll never know. What else you got?
So, well, I mean, you are Mr. NBA, Mr. Orlando Magic, all of that. The NBA All-Star Weekend, even though we're a few days removed from that now, I don't remember as much criticism for, and everybody rips All-Star games all the time, but this has just been a universal panning of the NBA All-Star Weekend, from the dunk contest that no stars competed in, and Mac McClung of the Magic ends up winning a third straight, to the new mini game format that they played, to LeBron scratching at the last minute and not playing. It's been an unbelievable panning of the NBA product, if you will, and the load management has been coming into it now. Do you think the NBA has an image problem?
I do think they have things they can correct, and clearly the NBA is aware of that, because Adam Silver put in load management rules within the last couple of years. You have to play 65 games at a minimum in order to reach certain thresholds with all NBA or MVP status. So they're aware that there's a problem. I'm not going to sit here and say that there's not one. But this is where, if you remember years and years ago, when you and I first started working together, one of the ways I tried to brand myself was someone that had the finger on the pulse of the Orlando sports fan and sports fans in general. Right. And I feel like for the most part, I have a pretty good gauge of how people are going to react to certain things. I think it is one of my few skills in this business. This was an area where I was completely wrong. I'm sitting back and watching this All-Star game, and I loved the format. I really enjoyed it. It was what it was. It's still an All-Star game, so let's not take it too seriously. I go online thinking, oh, people are going to love this. Let me pull out my phone. And we go, oh, my God. It's when you open the fridge and you open the carton of milk and you don't realize until you open it that it's about 3 weeks past its expiration date. That was the reaction that I had when I went to Twitter. I'm like, oh crap, people hate this. I really thought they were gonna love it.
Wow.
So I think people just, yeah. So either I'm way off, or this is should be the prevailing opinion of everyone, which is, people just like criticizing All-Star games. And there's really nothing the NBA could do. I mean, outside of going out there and what is it? Tell me. What's the answer? Going out there and bleeding for your country, like you're seeing with the hockey players?
American NBA players against international NBA players. Boom. Settled.
And then what if they don't care about that? Then what?
Well, first of all, I could tell you
Jokic is out there giving 100%.
Yes, I do. I think I think Wemby
did.
I think Wemby, the international SGA, I think these international players would try really hard. And if they kick the American players' ass, guess what? The next year, the American players would be playing hard.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't think that would work as well. I think it'll be fun. I don't think that would work as well in terms of you're trying to drum up false competitiveness. I just don't think that it's there. I think we look back on All-Star games and remember them fondly because we watched them at a younger age than where we are right now. We're all older today than we were yesterday, and All-Star games were awesome when you were a kid. or close to a kid. If you really think about it, Mike, when's the last time you sat back and watched an All-Star game and you were like, that was amazing? Any All-Star game.
When Pete Rose ran over Ray Fosse.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh, my God.
I was a kid.
All right, I want to wrap with this. People said on the text line that you were going to rip me for my Richie Incognito take, and I'm curious to see if they're right about that. So this story was huge back in 2013, back when you and I worked together. Oh, yeah, Bullygate. When you and I screamed at each other on the radio about this for days and days. And it turns out that it was all pretty much a lie, which is obviously unfortunate. However, I still think the story was a positive. Do you remember the initiatives that popped up after this story to end bullying? Bullying, if you remember at that time, was at a fever pitch in this country. And I think it took a story like this, where you have at least perceived macho football players experiencing the same thing that you experience in 9th grade, to put some real effort into slowing that down. And so while it's unfortunate that Jonathan Martin is a liar and that he ruined the image of Richie Incognito, who by himself probably isn't a great guy, but still was painted as a bigger villain than he is, to me, this helped slow down nationwide bullying. And I don't think, in my opinion, it's been as much of an epidemic since. So I still think this story was overwhelmingly positive.
That's a really nuanced take to the whole situation. And when I think, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not going to rip you for that take. I think it's a good take. Obviously I still wish it hadn't happened. If it was a lie, I wish coaches hadn't lost their jobs and careers hadn't been ruined because of this lie. So yeah, that's obviously unfortunate. And Jonathan Martin should be ashamed of himself for letting this quote unquote lie perpetuate for the last dozen years. So that's unfortunate, but your take that over in the grand scheme of things, overall, it might have been a good thing. I don't disagree with that.
Moral of the story is I was right and the listeners were wrong. And that means the crossover is over.